Good morning, guys. So today I want to share Hebrews from chapter 5. I'm going to read verses 7 through 10. In the days of his flesh, he offered up both prayers and supplications with loud crying and tears to the one able to save him from death. And he was heard because of his piety. Although he was a son, he learned obedience from the things which he suffered. And having been made perfect, he became to all those who obey him the source of eternal salvation, being designated by God as a high priest according to the order of Melchizedek. So, this little passage, of course, is talking about Jesus Christ. And it recounts about how when he was on this earth, he actually prayed and in agony suffered while asking to be saved from being crucified in the Garden of Gethsemane. And because of his obedience and dying on the cross anyways, he was raised from the dead for his obedience. Jesus beat death by raising from the dead. But even though he is the Son of God, and he came down and lived on this earth, he learned obedience by suffering the same things that we suffer. Feeling hot, feeling cold, feeling happiness, sorrow, pain, suffering, anger, everything that we have gone through, all of us, in our own individual lives, Jesus went through also. And because he was of God, sent by God, he, was able to show those who lived around him at the same time how to live, how to obey God and be obedient and not sin in the process. This made him perfect. This made him the perfect sacrifice to shed his blood to cover all of sin so that mankind can be reconciled back to God. And so now, because of that, anybody who believes in him, those elect who believe in him, will now have eternal life because of what Jesus did, not because of what they did or we do ourselves. It's only by grace and mercy and the obedience of Jesus Christ to die on that cross after living a sinless life do we get to have the salvation and reconciliation back with God, as long as we believe and follow him. And one thing to note very importantly too is that his father is God. His father was not a man. Now, he had an earthly father, Joseph, but Joseph was really just a stepfather, because his true father is God. So Jesus was born a virgin. He didn't come from the seed of man, which is by very nature sinful. The seed of man is sinful because it got cursed as a result of Adam's disobedience to succumbing to the wiles of the devil. When he did not prevent Eve from taking the bite of that apple for fruit, fruit of good and evil, and then, took it himself. And it talks about how Jesus is God's high priest for us. And it says here, the last part, according to the order of Melchizedek. Now, Melchizedek was a king and a ruler that was described in Genesis. Someone who appeared to Abraham. And he was the king of Salem, which later down the line of history became Jerusalem. And I'm sorry, I'm flipping through this to find the story of this. It's in Genesis. I believe it's in Genesis 22. Sorry guys, I'm kind of... Yeah, I'll have to actually, I actually probably should read that passage for you tomorrow so we can tie this in. I think I'll do that. But Melchizedek, he was a ruler that Abraham, which, like I said, I've got to remember where it's at, and I've got to find it. I know it's in Genesis. I just can't remember if it's before or after Abraham's name changed, because Abraham was Abram before he became Abraham. But I'll find that, and I'll share that tomorrow about Melchizedek. But there's a lot of... he was a king, he was a ruler, but his description of it, which is what I'll share tomorrow, gives me some wonderings myself about who Melchizedek is. But Jesus is being compared to coming from the line of him, which means Melchizedek, to me, was either God himself or possibly Jesus before Jesus was actually born. But that's something that I always thought interesting. It's one of the, to me, it's one of the mysteries of the Bible that I'll just have to share that with you tomorrow. So, anyways, the point of sharing 5:7 through 10 in Hebrews this morning is basically that Jesus was on this earth. He did everything that we do. He prayed. He gave supplications, requests, offerings to God. He felt what we felt. He experienced what we experienced, and he still obeyed God perfectly without sin. Of course, we know that Jesus is the Son of God, so could not sin. But was obedient to the point of death, which made him our perfect sacrifice for the salvation of our souls. And if somebody says yes and asks Christ to come into his heart, he will also have that gift of eternal salvation. So, I just wanted to share that this morning, and would love you guys. You have a blessed day, and tomorrow we'll see you, and I'll find that passage about Melchizedek and share that with you. Love you guys. Bye.